welcome to another episode of Everyday Off-Road. Today we're going to be talking about tire selection for off-road. There are several things that I look for when trying to purchase a new or replace an existing mud tire or all-terrain tire for general off-road use. I'm not too brand specific. I do have a few things that I'm partial to with a Nitto tire, and we're going to be talking about a couple of the options that they've got today, as well as Toyo, BF Goodwrench, Cooper, and I'm probably leaving something out, but I've got a list of I think 6 or 7 tires that we're going to discuss today and kind of take a look at. 2 of them are on my personal vehicles here. Well, make that 3 actually. The CJ has one of them on it. So we'll talk about 3 tires in person, and then I'm going to pull up the other 3 or 4 tire selections on the internet, and we'll take a look around them, talk about some pros and cons. Most of these I've got on my list I've personally owned, but if I haven't, then I know somebody that has. So I've had first-hand experience with all these tires, and hopefully you find this video informative, especially if you're searching for a new mud tire. So let's hop in. So the first tire on our list to discuss today is going to be the Nitto Trail Grappler. As you can see, and have probably seen in various other videos, the Trail Grappler is what we chose to run on our Jeep. Several reasons we looked into the Trail Grappler. First off, just preference, looks wise and everything. I mean, clearly this is a very sharp tire. Everything from tread design to sidewall, just to me is very aesthetically pleasing on a vehicle that's supposed to be rugged. We're also going to talk about price point for each of these tires, which we will get into in a minute. The Trail Grappler to me really was the perfect tire to use on the Jeep. The Mud Grappler, which we will talk about in a minute, and that is on my truck, they are very soft tires. This Trail Grappler is pretty soft, but the tread is still firm, and it's just, if you compare it side by side with the Mud Grappler, this is a lot harder, tougher tire to me. I believe the sidewall and everything, as far as the ply on the tire itself, is thicker on this one. 10 ply, 35 by 1250 R17 Trail Grappler that we're running on the Jeep. I mentioned briefly before, this tire it's a mud terrain, but the tread pattern is very standard. There's nothing crazy about it. It doesn't have any sort of crazy road noise. It's a fairly quiet tire. These are fairly new. I've had these since I lifted the Jeep, but that was only around a year ago. So these are probably at about 5,000-6,000 miles, and you can see the tread. I mean, it looks fantastic, and that's with me having done my own alignment on the front end too. So we haven't been having any sort of weird wear. I'll take you back here. This one's brand new, and obviously it still has the little nipples on here, but as far as tread depth, really not a whole lot of difference between this brand new 35 and what we've been running on the Jeep. Besides, obviously these are filthy. But again, the Trail Grappler is, to me, almost a mix. The Mud Grappler is so extreme that I think it's very good in mud. I've had it in the mud a couple times on an older vehicle. I think they dig really well, they clean out really well. But this Trail Grappler is more of a combination tire. It'll still clean out and has very wide grooves in the tread, but at the same time, it's still hard enough and tough enough to air down and go over rocks and everything without getting cut up. I've seen folks take mud grapplers on different terrain other than mud, and to me, I'm just not impressed. Think them aired down, they are so soft that I see people slicing tires, and they're not too impressive to me on any other terrain other than mud. So that's why we went with the Trail Grappler on the Jeep, mostly because I wanted a combination of everything that I could get in an off-road tire. These do great in the mud. Like I said, they still have these very wide tread grooves to where they will clean out. Maybe not as quickly as the Mud Grappler, but they still clean out very well. And you still get that rigidity of a somewhat hard tire as well. When you air down, there's no sort of weird seam right here. Some tires, when you air them down, they kind of get a fold right here, and it starts dry rotting on that fold, and it's just not good for the life of the sidewall. These don't have any problem airing down. They're still very tough aired down. They will crawl up over things, no problem. And again, just personal preference, that is a very aggressive looking tire. As far as longevity on the Trail Grappler, like I said, this set is fairly fresh. They have about 5,000 to 6,000 miles on them. I had a previous set on my last GMC 1500, and I had about 33,000 miles on them when I sold the truck, and they were about half tread. I wish I had a good picture of the tread life on the tires when I sold the truck, but I was very impressed by the longevity. You want to keep them rotated, take care of them, degrease them every now and then, try to limit dry rot. Really just anything you would do to maintain your vehicle, make sure you're doing it to maintain your tire. I'm not talking about oil changes, obviously, but what you would assume to lengthen the life of rubber, you'd want to do it with your tires. If you take good care of them, keep them rotated, really any tire can last probably longer than one would expect. But I've had such good luck with these Nittos that I just can't get away from them. So I'm just gonna take a guess that these tires on this vehicle would be about a 50,000 mile tire, maybe 55. They do get beat on off-road, so they'll get cut up, and the dry rot, cuts, and all that will probably honestly outdo the tread wear to where I'll have to replace them due to them just being torn up before they're really slick. So longevity on the Trail Grappler, solid 5 out of 5 to me. So here we're looking at the price for the Nitto Trail Grappler. We chose a 35, 12, 50, 20 for pricing just because every tire we look at makes that size across the board. And this one is right at $449 per tire. I just wanted to throw this clip up real quick just because I think it's an awesome shot of what the Trail Grappler looks like on a Jeep in an aggressive setting. Just a very, very good looking tire. Here's a shot just straight from Nitto's website on the Trail Grappler performance ratings. Off-road performance, you can see, is very good. Dry performance and wet performance are around the same, 3/4 of the way through the chart or so. Below that, we've got quietness, which is fairly good for a mud tire. And then at the very end, we've got ride comfort, which is also very good. The next tire we're going to look at is the Nitto Mud Grappler. And just right off the bat, this is, in my opinion, the best looking tire on the market, especially for a truck like this. The extreme ruggedness just sets the truck off so well. And right off the bat, the first thing you notice to me is the massive voids between the tread. The outer lugs, I mean, I can fit 3 fingers between the tread lugs. You've got a little infamous mud grappler marking there. It's supposed to be a claw or something like that, which is really what the sidewall design is mimicked after. It's supposed to look like a claw, and you've got, I call it the gator skin outers, but this material, this texture right here can either be faced in or faced out, and obviously out is the more aggressive. As we mentioned, looking at the Trail Grappler, I'd say the one con I've seen to this tire as far as off-road performance would be just how soft it is. This tire is so soft, especially when it's been sitting outside in June heat in Alabama. You can squeeze the lugs. I mean, it just feels like Jello almost. The tread is so soft. So when aired down trying to climb rock banks and things, I've seen these get cut up. And it's also because there's so much void between the lugs that if you get cut right here with how soft this tire is, it's gonna puncture. I've seen several people slice up these tires and have to throw a spare on, which is never fun in the middle of the woods. So again, similar to the Trail Grappler, the Mud Grappler we're looking at today is on my personal truck, and it is to a 35 12.5 20. Again, 10-ply sidewall. Just extremely tough looking tire. As far as tread, we already talked about the spacing between the outer lugs. Inner lugs are more of a perpendicular, horizontal type tread, running crossways across the tire. Just meant to completely just dig in and propel you out of mud. That's all these are meant for. And of course, all I do is run them on the street. So yeah, make fun of me, but I mean, they just look so good. As far as longevity for the Mud Grappler, that's another area the tire's lacking. I keep mine rotated every oil change, which is every 5,000 miles for me, and have had good luck out of these tires. I had close to 30,000 on my last set, and they were a little below half tread. I would say on average, if well maintained, the Mud Grappler is maybe a 40 to 45,000 mile tire. But on a 2500 like this, we'll see if I make that. It may be 35 to 40, but we'll keep them rotated and well maintained and see what they can do. As far as off-road performance, we're gonna give the Mud Grappler, for reasons we discussed just a minute ago, we're probably gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Simply because it's so soft that I have seen it fail in harder environments, rocks, boulders, anything like that. But obviously with a tread this spread apart is gonna be killer in the mud. It's gonna clean out instantly. You're never gonna have any problem in the mud. So again, for the Mud Grappler, we're looking at a 35 1250 R20, and the price is $440 per tire, which is just slightly below the Trail Grappler. Here's just a quick image off the website of the massive voids in the tread of the Mud Grappler, like we were talking about earlier, looking at the ones on the truck. Just a crazy amount of space between the tread lugs on this tire. Here's the same Nitto performance ratings chart that we looked at for the Trail Grappler a little earlier, but for the Mud Grappler. As you can see, off-road performance, they have it rated all the way up. Dry and wet performance is average, about like the Trail Grappler was. We get down to quietness. Of course, as you'll see in a clip in just a second, these tires are not quiet. And then at the very end, we've got ride comfort, which is fairly good for an aggressive mud tire, but not the greatest. This is me running close to 60 miles an hour or so in the Duramax. As you can tell, the Mud Grappler has an extremely loud roar to it. The next tire we're going to look at is the BF Goodrich All-Terrain. As you can see, we are over here at the CJ7, and this is not the most current version of this tire. I think they're on the KO2 or KO3 now. This, I believe, is the KO, one of the first gens of this tire. And I used to really want these tires on everything back when I was a kid, and I think they look good. And for an all-terrain tire, some argue that this is the best there is. So on the KO, there wasn't much sidewall, as you can see. It's really just slick. I mean, there's nothing to grab. However, for an all-terrain, this is one of the more aggressive tread patterns you're gonna get. Still got some pretty good sized gaps in here. The tread pattern on the tire itself, on the face of the tire, should be very similar, if not the same, to the new version, the KO2 or KO3. So you've kind of got this dog bone style tread in the center, and then two more wrapping around it, and then your side lugs over here. Much like I said, I mean, there's still some pretty big voids in here. But if you're in bad sticky mud, these will slick up in a heartbeat. However, I do know people that off-road with these in more of a Moab desert, really rock style setting. And I've heard that they do really well. I've had them on a couple of vehicles, really never pushed them to the limits as far as off-road capability. But for an all-terrain, I do agree that it's one of the better looking choices. Yes, I know these are old. I believe these tires are about 12 years old. So they're in need of being replaced, even though they've got plenty of tread life left just from dry rotting and safety issues. This thing's been sitting for so long that wouldn't want to run these tires for too long. But I wanted to throw these on the review because they would be a good option for somebody, especially in the Midwest to anywhere out to Utah, kind of, again, Moab setting that's looking for a more of an all-terrain tire. If you're going to be driving on the road a lot and don't want to go all out with a mud terrain, this is a very, very solid option. One con I will say that I know off the bat is these tires run small. So what I mean by that is if you order a 33, which I believe this is a 31 since it's on an 84, but say you order a 33, it comes in, and once you get them mounted up, it's closer to a 32 or a 31 and a half. I've had that experience with all BF Goodriches I've owned, and everybody I know has said the same. Really, if you're looking for a 33, you almost want to go metric size and see if you can get a 34, 34 and a half. Or if you can fit maybe a 33 and a half, you can go up to a 35. But they all run slightly small. I know some of the other brand off-road tires do that as well. I can't think of the name at the moment, but the one that's similar to the Attoro Trailblades, I know they run small, and several others do. So it's not the end of the world, but if you're going for a stuffed look or have an exact height you're shooting for, you may just want to keep that in mind with these. As far as longevity on the BF Goodrich All-Terrain, I've had, I think, 2 sets of these on different vehicles, and that based off of friends' vehicles that have had them, everything. I'd say this is probably a 45 to 50,000 mile tire if rotated and maintained. if you run a wrong air pressure in these or anything weird and don't maintain them, I have seen these wear fairly quickly, even though they are an all-terrain. I've seen them wear bad just in the center. I've seen them wear bad on the edges. So if you get them mounted and balanced appropriately, rotate them, clean them, anything you do, like we mentioned on the Trail Grappler, I'd say longevity on these is probably a 4 out of 5. As far as off-road capability for the BF Goodrich all-terrain, like we said, it performs well when in desert conditions, dry conditions. I've seen it handle rocks well. I believe it airs down good. So out of 5, I'm gonna give the BF Goodrich a 3 to 3.5 out of 5 for off-road capability, mainly because they slick up so bad in the mud. And really, if you're in the Southeast, you can't afford to slack in that area, or else you'll be stuck out there all day. So solid tire, just not what I would choose for what we use our rigs for. We've got our price comparison for the BFG All-Terrain KO2, 35, 12, 50, 20 like we've been looking at. We're looking at $380 per tire, which is significantly cheaper than the Nittos we've looked at. Here we've just got a couple shots of the BFG in action. Looks like we've got a snow picture and then maybe a desert picture. You can see the different sidewall from the one on the CJ7 like I was talking about. This one looks way better to me. I just wanted to show this real quick off the website. Something cool you can get on the BFG is the white letters on the tire. I don't believe Nitto has that option. I think if it's on a classic vehicle, it can look extremely clean. So now I want to get into a few of the tires that I've owned or had experience with, but don't actually have right now in person for us to look at. The first one is the Toyo Open Country MT. This is similar to me to the Trail Grappler. Toyo and Nitto are actually manufactured from the same place. I believe Toyo actually owns Nitto. So this is the Toyo comparison really to the Trail Grappler in my opinion. Here's a shot of the Toyo on what looks to be a new JL Rubicon. It's a fairly aggressive looking tire. I personally prefer the Nitto, especially the sidewall. Has a little more rugged look to it. I had good luck with the Toyos though, as far as longevity and everything. Believe they are a little bit softer of a tire than the Nitto. But as far as off-road use, I do not have much personal experience. Here's just a quick close-up of the sidewall of the Toyo MT. Just a little bit less aggressive looking to me personally than the Nitto. I believe this tire, like I said, is very similar to the Nitto Trail Grappler in terms of off-road performance, longevity, all that. Here's a shot of the Toyo MT on a fuel off-road wheel. The tread really looks good here to me. I still prefer the Nitto, but this looks really aggressive. When you purchase a Toyo, it's the same thing as a Nitto. You're paying for the quality and usually some sort of warranty and just the peace of mind of knowing that you've got a well-made tire. Here's just a close-up of the tread design. It's similar to the Nitto Trail Grappler. This one has slightly more of a hook design and possibly a little less voids between the tread to me compared to the Trail Grappler. So now we've got our price comparison for the Toyo Open Country MT in a 35, 12, 50, 20 like we've been looking at. And it's looking like this one comes in right at $430 per tire. So now we're going to move on to another Nitto tire that is one of the most popular ones right now for people really that want a good mixture of on-road and off-road capability. This is what they call a hybrid tire, and it's the Nitto Ridge Grappler. The middle of the tire is more of an all-terrain style tread pattern, kind of close together lugs for better on-road capability and lack of noise. while you still have your aggressive lugs on the outer edge of the tire and a nice thick sidewall as we saw on the Trail Grappler. I think this one looks really good, and it's, like I said, it's been really popular lately with people wanting to run something that they can go off-road and then hop on the street and drive to work the next day. Here is kind of a look at the tread pattern up close on the Nitto website, kind of like we looked at for the Mud Grappler. As you can see, the middle lugs are pretty tight packed, while the outers still maintain some voids to really give you that grip. The Ridge Grappler, similar to the Trail Grappler, also has what they call a dual sidewall design, which basically just means one side's a little more aggressive typically, and one side is a little more tame looking for those not going for that ultra meaty sidewall look. Here we've got the Ridge Grappler on, again, looks like a newer JL. Very good looking tire, as most of the tires Nitto produce are. My personal opinion on the Ridge Grappler, they were actually on my Duramax when I bought it, and it had about 32,000 miles on it, and they were almost slick. I'm not sure if that was due to them being load range F versus E, or exactly what the deal with that was, but I know so many people that have had good luck with these tires and order, 3 or 4 sets. So, me personally, for a Jeep, I would stick with the Trail Grappler just for the extra aggressiveness. But again, if you're looking to be both on and off-road, I think this is a fantastic option that Nitto offers. So here we've got our performance rating chart, but for the Ridge Grappler, off-road performance, they've got it ranked fairly high. I think I would have it set just lower than that because it tends to gum up. It's not near as good off-road to me as the Trail Grappler. Dry performance and wet performance, yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, this is the best tire for on-road use for sure that they offer. Quietness, yeah, you're going to get little to no road noise out of this tire, so I agree with that as well. And then ride comfort is a little lower. I think that should be a little higher because this is a good riding tire, but overall, I agree with most of these rankings. And finally, the price for a Ridge Grappler 35, 12, 50, 20 comes in at $421 per tire. The next to last tire we're going to look at is the Mastercraft Courser MXT. It's a mud terrain tire that I think is very good looking, and it is easy on the wallet as well. It's a lower budget tire. But I had 2 different sets of these, and they were great, off-road and on-road. This is appears to be a picture of them on some sort of Nissan. Like I said, they just have a really good look to them. I had never run any Mastercraft products until these, and like I said, I had really good luck with them. And we will look a little closer at the tread and the price here in just a second. Here's a close-up of the tread on the Mastercraft. As you can see, it's your standard 4-lug mud tire design. It's got the center 2 lugs are a little less aggressive, closer together. And then the outer lugs, of course, are your grip, your sidewall, and all that. And these, this tire appears to have very deep tread, at least in this picture. It's obviously brand new, but it's a really good looking tire, as I said. I had a set of these on an off-road vehicle before, and they performed absolutely perfect. They lasted a while. Now, I don't think the longevity is quite going to be what Nitto is just because of materials, but I was overall happy with them. I only had one bad experience. I had them on a Chevrolet pickup truck, and I had one that had some abnormal wear going on, but that is most of the time due to bad mounting and balancing. So as we mentioned a minute ago, the Mastercraft Courser MXT is going to be a little bit more of a budget-friendly tire. You still get a lot of your off-road capability of an expensive mud tire, and maybe just slightly less street wear. I don't think these are rated to last quite as long as a Toyo or an Itto. So again, we're looking at a 35, 12, 50, 20 Mastercraft Corsair MXT, and it's looking like our per tire cost is right at $271. So I really just wanted to throw these in here as a budget-friendly option for a mud tire. I know a lot of people are interested in what kind of tire they can get in a certain budget, and this is my recommendation. Some people will say the Atoros, some people will say the Coopers. I would personally try the Mastercrafts. I've had really good luck with them and know several people running them on their Jeep that love them as well. So I would give these a shot. So I hope you enjoyed our walkthrough of several different off-road tire options today. Overall, like we said, the clear winner to me, and this is just my opinion, I'm not sponsored by Nitto, anything like that. My opinion is the Trail Grappler, the Nitto Trail Grappler takes the cake. It is the perfect combination of off-road use. You can drive it on the highway every day. It'll last you 40 to 50,000 miles. I mean, there's nothing that tire can't do, and it looks killer. I mean, I'm looking this way because the Jeep's right here. It's such a good looking tire. There's really nothing you're missing if you buy a set of Trail Grapplers other than price point, which we talked about briefly as well. I would say the Trail Grappler is the clear choice for off-road. Everybody's going to have their different opinions. I see people running all sorts of tires out there. In Alabama, my personal opinion too is that you're going to want to go spend the money on a good mud terrain versus an all-terrain, because we're dealing with a lot of sand, a lot of mud, silty, just red clay kind of stuff down here that's not fun in an all-terrain. They will gum up in a second. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I just wanted to do a quick review and walk around and personal suggestions based off the tires that I've owned. Hopefully this video at least helped you out a little bit in your new tire selection. Go with what's good for you. Don't just listen to me. But hopefully you found some of this video informative. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Everyday Off-Road, and we will see you next time.